Aftershocks TV. We're back here with another episode where we feature some of the best underground heavy rock and metal artists on the globe. And today we're going to the Atlantic coast from Virginia Beach. We got heavy rock champs Freedom Hawk, TR, and Mr. Morton and Cave there. What's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Thank you guys for coming on, man. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about the new record. You guys' sixth release, now on Ripple. It's called Take All You Can. Let me bring that up right here so the watchers can see here. Yeah, you guys picked up right where you left off on the last record, Beast Remains, although I definitely some differences, I think, to the sound on this one. Obviously, it continues what you guys have been doing now for almost 20 years. A long time you guys have been doing this, and that's playing, of course, that 70s inspired heavy rock that you're well known for. But, you know, I definitely hear a little bit more, I guess, some metallic inspired riffs and leads on this record, maybe more than some of the other records. So why don't you guys just start off, talk about the, I guess, the musical direction on this record and what you guys set out to do differently than the previous releases, if anything.
Well, I think that the difference on this record than the other ones is just because we had so much time off because of COVID that we didn't have gigs to play, so we could just start playing music and just kind of jam without having to stop to rehearse for a show. So it was almost like if you're starting a new band and you're able to just play without any kind of distractions. And we pretty much just got fucked up and so that's pretty much kind of what the vibe of the record was just in a relaxed spot, because we actually purchased, some stuff to be able to record it ourselves and try that. And actually we did that Liftoff song. I don't know if you heard that. That was like a single we put out. That was actually our test run to see if it would, well, actually we just caught a jam actually. And then we sent it to our buddy to mix. And when we heard it come back, we're like, man, we could probably do this and record a record. And so that kind of gave us the inspiration to do that. And then from there, we kind of locked in and put these jams together and recorded them.
Awesome. Yeah, and some of it we were like just the angst of we actually on tour when the COVID pandemic hit, and we made it all the way around the U.S. to I think after Arizona, got stuck in El Paso, and then Texas, the whole world shut down. So, that we were, after that, we came back home and we were, it felt like the tour wasn't done, and we had a lot of, ideas as well. And then like TR said, once we got back, we were kind of all in our own little bubble after COVID, and just started jamming, and then everything came out from there.
Great. Well, I mean, I got to say, I've been a fan of you guys for quite some time, but I really do think this is probably your strongest effort. I know everybody always says that with their new records, but I really do think this is the strongest effort. So I guess getting fucked up and just jamming in a room, I guess, is a good formula for that. Sounds like, but
the difference is too, like when you go to a studio, you think about the time when money's just flying out the window, and then you're in a spot that's not really, it can be comfortable, that's super comfortable. And sometimes you just go, okay, that's good enough, instead of like having as much time as you wanted and not being charged on the clock. We were able to just kind of just take it all and do it all ourselves, so. Yeah.
No, yeah. And I was just going to actually bring it up. I did read that you guys did, obviously, one of the things you did do is you now set up your own rehearsal and recording space. And like you said, the Liftoff single track that came out, like you said, that was sort of the test run for it. So, in your opinion, then, I guess how much really of a did it really have that much of an effect, I guess, on maybe not even just so much having the time constraints lifted off you, but also in terms of, writing too, right? So you don't have to, not only do you have to not get in and record and, okay, good, this is good enough, but in terms of writing, you could obviously then take your time, writing instead of getting in the studio, also going, like you said, okay, this is maybe good enough, because that's got, I'm sure, have a positive effect. But at the same time, do do you feel like sometimes that maybe having that much extra time can also, maybe you could tend to overdo or think certain things in songs where maybe you could be like, we should have left that maybe the way it was, and maybe we overdid it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just to give it, rewind a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What we first did was a live stream. And once we figured that out, that actually was the catalyst to start, hey, we might be able to record and do this ourselves.
Well, that too. And then as far as we were recording demos of the songs prior and working them out. And the demos actually sounded really good. So we had everything, like I said, because we had a lot of time, because we'd already started working a little bit prior to the tour. They had some songs or riffs, at least kind of in the mix that we kind of jam. So once we had the time to actually work them out and record them, we didn't tinker too much off after that, except for the leads and, the vocals. Actually the vocals, I wrote all the lyrics on the spot as I did them. So I didn't really, just kind of whatever came off the top of my head. I had a couple of things that were kind of there, but most of it just kind of happened organically. You know what I mean? Just as it was happening, I just kind of wrote some stuff down, and then I went the next line, and I just kind of wrote them through. But so it wasn't. I think it was all just purely feelings from the band. You know what I mean? Like just like even playing the music and writing the songs. Like we all just kind of put our souls.
Well, Lenny, our drummers too. Dad passed away too.
Oh man.
While we were going through that, but we've always recorded, like even when we had a 4-track, we'd always record live, like when we're jamming. That's kind of how we put melodies combined with metal riffs together, and it's definitely a fluid thing. Mm-hmm. And then that's what was so exciting about Liftoff, is to get a 9-minute, something we've always chased, I think, is to, and some of the there's just so much content that you can't pour through it, or you don't, especially like on old 4-track tapes and things like that. So that was really exciting to get that and have that nugget. And that was really
because cool. we jam all the time, and those jams are just gone forever, and we just happen to catch that one.
Yeah.
So we're pretty stoked, because most of the time you do it and you never do it. You'll never do that again,
Mm-hmm.
And our friend Ian Watts from 8 Machine, he does mixing too, and he actually we sent it to him.
Okay.
And once he mixed it and we worked with him, and that definitely after the live stream was another step towards, hey, we might be able to do this ourselves. And then by doing it ourselves gave us a lot of time to get more creative and also refine it, and also be real relaxed and not be under a lot of budget constraints and time constraints that we've had before. That's maybe felt rushed in some cases, but we're definitely a slow band as far as putting things, I wouldn't say putting things together, as far as getting to the point where we want to put it out or have it released.
Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome that we had that time to do that.
Sure. Yeah, no doubt. Well, like I said, it sounds great. I mean, and let's talk about the first single you guys put out for the record, Age of the Idiot. Real catchy as fuck riffs and hooks all throughout that song. And of course, I love the name of that track as well. So I did, read that, just talking about in terms of the lyrics on the record. I mean, on the press release, it does state that, I'll just quote it, that the world was and is in need of love, and the lyrics on the album convey this throughout in a dark way. So when I hear the name Age of the Idiot, I'm that kind of, I think, supports that quote, I think, right there. But so I guess just talk a little bit, more about exactly how you wrote about that sort of need for love in the dark way. I mean, are you using more sort of that humorous and facetious approach to kind of get that point across? Just talk about the lyrical approach on the record.
Well, I would say that that when I say that the world needs love, and it's written in a dark way, just because like all you see is like a lot of negativity and
mm-hmm.
darkness in the world, and like you turn on the news, everything's like death and destruction, and so my thought was just that, you know, if you turn all that stuff off and concentrate on what you love and who you love, the people around you, your family, friends, and that you know, that's what really matters, and that's what can change the world. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I saw it. And just seems like I try not to watch the news because it just ends up just making you feel like, you know, everything's hopeless.
Absolutely.
So, anyways.
Well, and to give some more context, we were in a capsule in a van caught in COVID, and we were literally seeing the world, like people were freaking out, man.
Yeah.
We weren't really in it,
and we were kind of plugged out from, you know, like the old kill your television. We weren't, I mean, other than maybe a couple hotel rooms that we happened to get, there wasn't much media. Of course, the phones and stuff. But once we got to, once Texas shut down, and it was like, remember we were in bumfucked West Texas, and I want to say we had to stop for gas. Luckily, they kept the power on.
They wouldn't let us. They wouldn't let us.
Yeah,
they wouldn't let us in. They wouldn't even let us in to take a piss. We had to go outside.
I mean, we would have done that anyway. But I think we went through a drive-through or something too, and they shut the drive-through, and there was a state trooper in front of us, and yeah, we got a little nervous with any state trooper, but they were like, they denied the state trooper, and the state trooper took off, and it was just surreal.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
Weird times.
Wow, man.
So but to give some context to that.
But Age of the Idiot, I had envisioned like nuclear war and just people being stupid and blowing up the world.
Well, not paying attention to the big things, right? Like, you know, worried about the little things instead of the big picture.
Well, also let's talk about your second single, "Take All That You Can," which you guys got a cool little trippy video for that as well out there that the viewers can all check out as well. But another song with an interesting title, "Take All That You Can." I mean, that's something I think a lot of people are. It's got sort of a narcissistic tone to that title track. So, talk a little bit about that, TR, and what you were going for with that one.
Well, the funny thing is that Ian Watts that mixed we had working titles for these songs, and then but they didn't fit the song. So when Ian was mixing, he was like, "What?" He actually named majority of the songs.
Oh, okay.
I think by pulling lyrics out, but it worked. The song, it actually worked. So every time he put one out there, we were like, yeah, I was like, that works for that song. But "Take All You Can" was just like I don't really know what it means exactly. Just like I said, I was writing the lyrics as I went, and there were parts. I think "Take All You Can" was in there in my head, it's totally different than as I listen to it now. What it could mean. I I don't even want to say what I thought it meant. But I know that Morgan picked out some lyrics and thought that, you know, I was like,
well, as we write stuff, TR is good about coming with phrases, and we'll work on phrases, and then he'll work out the vocal melodies. And sometimes we actually play to those melodies, and vice versa. He'll hear melodies and get but sometimes there will be lyrical phrases, and then he builds around that. So like some of the, when he says, I just wrote it, there are like choruses and phrases that we kind of know and will pick up on. But it was definitely it was a good collaboration with Ian too. And that was part of the time, right? And it was a true collaboration with him mixing. So like,
what did you think of that song?
Well, in the time period when it was written, I'd say like basically take all you can get. You know what I mean? Like there was just, you know, everybody was in lockdown. You know, find the little things that take all you can for what you're given, right? And try and make a positive out of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really what I had in mind, but it's mine was kind of a weird story, but it's too dark to even talk about. So,
well, and you guys, do you usually not write lyrics that way? Do you just kind of do them on the spot and then just kind of work from it there, or was this just a different thing you tried this time?
I mean, I usually come down like there's always like some chorus parts that I have. Like usually the chorus comes out, and then from there I may have a line. And then I always try to envision like a story like behind what this is about, and then try to write to that. And it's difficult to do, but this time I was so unprepared because it was just very laid back. So the whole thing was just like, let's just see what we can get out of this. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm not going to overthink it like you were saying before. I'm going to have my set things, and then I'm just going to go in the moment, do a line, you know, then write the next one, do that one, then write the next one and do that one, and then so on. So that's just, and it actually was pretty cool because it's almost like an intuitive thing that after it's done and you kind of see what's going on with the story, that it actually, in the moment you think it doesn't mean anything, and then after it's done, you're like, oh, there's actually something there, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I've seen you do it all, so yeah, in this one it was definitely like that.
Cool,
as far as sometimes planning it out, sometimes not. But unlike some of us, TR works really, like he is, well, and that's, well, in fact, that's, you almost use the same formula as before in the sense that we had deadlines. So, and
yeah,
he also plays guitar too. So, you know, we're working that parts out. And then, you know, yeah, you almost like, do better under the pressure.
I need pressure.
We're all different, so it just
last minute
worked out this time all the way around.
Awesome.
Wait up.
Well, you guys, Freedom Park. I mean, obviously, you guys now being from, Virginia Beach. I've heard a lot of talk over the years about you guys, being sort of labeled as the Fu Manchu of the East Coast, is what some people refer to you guys as. Which, I personally disagree with that for several reasons. Musically, I think you guys are, a little bit more metal centric. Obviously, where Fu Manchu is a little more of the punk influence. And it's also, I think, when you guys do some sort of punk sort of stuff, it's more aligned with like a Motorhead kind of style, not really like a SoCal punk, type of thing. But also when you think of just the overall vibe of, between Southern California and the Atlantic coast, it's not that kind of beach lifestyle, in Virginia the way it is out in California. I mean, I think people say that when they say that, I think they just haven't really been maybe to Virginia Beach, because I know there's a lot of, swamps, and it's not your palm trees and 80-degree weather all year round, sort of thing. So I mean, although it's a great thing, obviously, to be compared to Fu Manchu, I kind of disagree with that. But what do you when you hear that comparison? What's your thoughts?
It's probably more of a, because we grew up skateboarding and surfing, and so that's probably more of the, because we're in that scene,
Okay.
In Virginia Beach, where the waves aren't great here, but we do have Hatteras right down the street, and the surfing community is very hungry here. So when there are waves, I mean, people are ready to go. They're very, I don't know. But anyways, so that would say that the difference between Fu Manchu, us, the comparison would probably strictly just be the community maybe that listens to our music. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I would say that, like, when we first did our EP, which was 4 or 5 songs, and then even the self-titled, which writing-wise was After Sunlight, there were influences in people and around in Richmond area, and even in our area of Virginia, that were, when they first heard that, that's what they compared us to, and then that's kind of where
and
it
Fu
went from there.
Manchu was an inspiration as
like
well.
they were one of many. I mean, they're a fucking kick-ass band.
Yeah.
Love them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're rad as shit. But we definitely had more metal influences in us that took us in punk rock for sure. I mean, a lot of what TR said, it's just what we went on a little bit of a different, in some cases took some of what they had and melded it with some other stuff we had, and went from there. But I would say that's where it first came from, was that foundation of, like,
it's just it's just that
Hollow Caverns in the On the Other Side, like that first EP, which turned 5 of those tracks actually were on our self-titled, like that, and like some of that where it's more like that Fu Manchu style. And it just kind of stuck to us from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys been around now for almost 20 years, right? I mean, you guys started in the early 2000s, I believe, right? Or 2003 or so. When you guys obviously started out too, speaking of a band like Fu Manchu or something, this kind of, sound, the heavy rock, stoner rock, whatever you want to call it, sound, it wasn't obviously as big then as we're seeing it, now. I mean, it's really, really huge now. You've got festivals, not only, especially now we've got a bunch of festivals here in the States finally, but obviously, Europe's had festivals for years with this kind of music. Obviously, when you guys started out too, there was only really kind of a couple of labels really putting this kind of music out. Maybe, Meteor City, Small Stone. I mean, obviously, labels you guys are obviously very familiar with and have been on. But now it's really such an international thing. It's great to see. But so in your guys' opinions, I mean, being around this scene for so long, I mean, what's some of the or some of the sort of biggest, I'd say, changes that you guys have sort of noticed, over the years compared to when you were first kind of getting together and starting out as a band?
I guess that initially we started playing the music we were playing because none of those bands came to Virginia Beach.
Oh, okay.
we're like, I want to hear that music, and then we're like, let's try to play it. And
well, he's talking like,
I mean,
you're going back down to,
well, he's talking about 2003. He's talking about 2003, though.
Yeah, there was that. Well, we got caught, like, kind of when we started, we got caught on the downside. I wouldn't say downside, but like
have we seen the changes? What have we seen the changes since we?
Well, there's definitely a lot of it has to do with the change the way the whole music industry is too. I mean, Ripple's been great, and they're a totally different model than before. But it kind of went from that 90s, and it kept on going to like 2005, 6. And then when we started, it was kind of lull, and it has picked up from then, and it's actually awesome. There's just it's a bigger scene for sure. And I think a lot of it has to do with people that have grown it from the ground up, you know, the underground hardcore people that, you know, in fact, I saw one of your other interviews, and I think the Freaks or Ruben was talking about Cosmic Artifacts. In fact, that was like the first kind of people that
.com too.
Yeah, stonerrock.com that started.
That's right.
Actually, Cosmic Artifacts was the first one that started distributing Sunlight in 2008, and that was like our own self-release. And then came Meteor City after that, but yeah, stonerrock.com.
Yeah, that's right.
Those people are just like, Cosmic Artifacts has really grown, like a lot of folks, and people that love the music, and then a lot of good bands too, and then also a lot of good bands that have stuck through it and stuck around, you know, kept it going.
I think
there's more infrastructure.
I think that's what's really helped too, is that the internet, good and bad, but in this scene, it's made it more accessible to more people, because before it was, you go to stonerrock.com to try to find another band that plays that kind of music, because that's what you wanted to hear.
That's all there was.
Yeah, you couldn't find, I mean, like there was a couple labels that had that kind of music, and that's what you went to, and it was hard to find. It was such a small little niche that it was hard to find that stuff, and it was really cool. So since now, I mean, now you can just go to Spotify and find every band.
It'll find it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as hard to find those niche things. So I think that's what's helped to grow it. You know what I mean?
Technology. Yes. You can never get on a thing like this.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, like a supercomputer or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, shout out to JJ too. Like when he started, like he transitioned from Stone Rock to his you know,
Obelisk.
And then he's helped with that, keep going, and you know, like folks like yourself, it definitely is a very blue collar, ground up.
Yeah, it's do it yourself. So do it yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
Yeah. But I mean, so now you guys, I mean, now you've been now, like you were saying, 20 years almost going on as a band. You've got 6 full lengths under your belt during that time. You've been on all those great labels that we've talked about, including now with Ripple. You've got your own rehearsal recording spot. I mean, you guys are starting to sound like sort of a modern version of another band not too far from you over there, like the legendary Clutch. It's like you just need to start your own label now, and I think you'll be right there with them. But
I don't think so. Those guys are legends.
Sure. They are. Yeah, I know. But I mean, you know, but now you guys have been busting your ass really for almost 20 years. You're gaining fans, you know, on each album more and more. I mean, how I guess maybe confident are you guys just now feeling overall about what you've done, and more importantly, where you're headed at this point? I mean, are you satisfied where you're at? Do you have more, I guess, you know, accomplishments you want or goals that you want to achieve? Just talk a little bit about what the future of the band, what you guys can sort of, I guess, envision for the future at this point.
I think what we've been talking about is world domination, but I don't know.
No. Building off. I mean, personally, I'm very excited that this album is doing as well as it is. And it's cliche, but yeah, you know, we put a lot of effort into it, but it's some of the best work I think we've done, and just build off this. And it's exciting when you book gigs and you immediately get a response, or you get a lot of offers, and then you get a lot of opportunities, and then a lot of people support you and keep the ship sailing, and that's awesome. And then also our peers and other bands that, you know, it's just all, it's a good thing. We do it because we love it.
Yeah, exactly. I have to say, it was never a planned thing to do, to even be where we are as a band. It was just, honestly, Mark and I used to get together, and he played bass, I played guitar, and we just would naturally click and just would jam. And then we'd try to find drummers to play with. And then we finally found Lenny, and we used to get so fucked up that Lenny would be like, play that riff again, and we'd be like, what riff? I mean, because all we did was just jam. We would just play what, like, honestly, like, what comes out of the instruments is coming straight from our feelings and there's no like, hey, you know, this is, I don't know. But so anyways,
he's bringing us back 20 years, so we're definitely not more professional.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, but it's still the same, like, the click between as far as.
Well, that's what you got to draw on, right? You can't lose where you came from. You know, when you do, that's when you know, it's usually not a good thing when that happens.
And this is the only band that Mark and I have ever been in.
Oh, wow. See, like I'm hearing more Clutch comparisons. You see?
Yeah, well, we grew up playing together, and then my brother was part of the band for quite a long time and actually played. And so it's definitely a family affair. Even Lenny for this long, and yeah, it's just gone from there. And Brendan's part of family. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like,
Brendan.
well, when I wanted to play with other bands, it was always like, hey, let's jam. It's like, okay, so he would never. We would. You know, it's just the thing to do, and it actually getting the feedback too, or just knowing it sounded good. Like, we played with other people, and you know, and other bands know this, other musicians, that when you know, as far as a musical match, as far as you can sit in your room and be a virtuoso and do your thing, but playing with other people is a totally different thing.
Oh yeah.
And, sometimes. Well, just like sometimes when band people hate each other, but when they get together and play, they're like best friends, right? But luckily we're best friends, and we're all best friends and played well together or feed off each other and everything else.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up a good point about, you know, having these virtuosos out there that can play, but like you said, it's true. You know, that's the one thing about the future of music, especially rock and metal, is a lot of these kids don't know how to play with each other. You know, they can't get in a room and just jam and create songs. And it's, you know, it's great when we do see the young ones that can do it, because it's few and far between. You know, it is really something that's concerning, you know, I would say, you know. Yeah, no doubt.
It's hard to find the right people.
Yeah, it's like School of Rock, you know, School of Rock.
Yeah.
Well, our guitarist, actually, Brendan, works, it's this place called Rock, and what they do is they work with them individually and actually put bands together, which I mean, it's
great.
It's cool to get the kids to actually play that way too. It's pretty neat as far as mentoring younger musicians and stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree.
More well-rounded, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, so what's now next for the band in terms of now, you know, pushing the record, promoting it, and playing shows? Are you guys gonna look to tour anytime soon, or are you just more focused maybe on doing some festivals, or what's the plan in terms of, you know, promoting the record and maybe playing shows?
Well, we're starting a tour in December.
Okay.
That takes through here to Texas, up to I think Wisconsin, Illinois, back to New York, and back down here. Okay. And then after that, we're working on Europe for next May timeframe. We played Desert Fest, New York City. Brooklyn at St. Vitus. It was actually the pre-party, and we talked to Reese, and he verbally told us, you know, we're cool, we can play at Desert Fest London. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we lost a lot of our infrastructure as far as in Europe, as far as like booking and stuff. So we're working on that, but we're endorsed by Orange, so we can get the vehicle, you know, we can take care of all the logistics. It's just we need a booker at this point. We're looking for some and talk to a few people, and yeah, working on that tour, and then
So
playing gigs and going from there, and definitely festivals. I think because we've done Roadburn and almost all the desert fests other than Belgium, I think.
yeah, but we're looking at a
festivals
tour in
in the US,
December, and then Europe in May.
Yeah, at this point.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic, great.
And then some things here and there. But, you know, it all depends on what comes up to.
Yeah, well, let's hope nothing happens like it happened last time to you guys. That's all. I'm sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the one thing, obviously.
Well, and then the last one, it was like the I don't care. Well, what your view on it is, but what also hurt last time is it was a great tour when we toured last. We toured with High Reaper. When was that?
Last summer.
Was it last summer? And they had the vaccine restrictions, and that was.
It's tough, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it was just COVID impacted that as well, I guess.
Sure.
And
All kinds of things.
so
Yeah.
hopefully that's all
Behind us, yeah.
Yeah.
In the past, yeah.
I guess.
So
Yeah.
Hopefully, we
Yeah.
want to do it, especially since it's very cool to get the feedback because
Yeah.
I think our expectations were really low. Mine were, so we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely getting great feedback. And once again, the album is Take All You Can. It is Freedom Hawk. And guys, where should we send the listeners and the viewers to go just keep up with the band, buy merch, buy this great record, and all that good stuff?
Freedomhawk.net, and then ripplemusic.com.
the Bandcamp too, the Freedom Hawk Bandcamp.
Yeah, but everything comes through our website too.
So-
And then Ripple, and then the internet's from there.
If you want to
all
support
the digital
support us directly, you can get stuff from the freedomhawk.net.
We said that in unison.
Yeah, that's good.
Fantastic. All right. Once again, Freedom Hawk, Take All You Can. And Mark and TR, thank you guys so much for joining me on Aftershocks. And hopefully we'll see you on the road sooner than later.
Aftershocks here.